Hey, what's going on everyone? In this more casual review, we'll be taking a look at the long-awaited RE100 Zaku II Kai. Now, if you've seen my other reviews, then you probably already know this, but 0080 War in the Pocket is definitely my favorite Gundam series, so this is really a dream kit for me. While I think I would have preferred a master grade, at this point, I'll take what I can get. Hopefully this kit can live up to all those years of waiting, you know? As always, we'll be looking at this kit in 4 categories: the build, appearance, articulation, and the gimmicks. Unlike those master grade reviews though, we won't be giving any scores out. Instead, let's just take a quick look over this kit. Alright, now let's get right into this build. In my previous RE100 review, I mentioned these kits might be thought of as 1/100th high grades. However, this kit feels more like a lower tier master grade. There's actually somewhat of an inner frame here. It's totally more about function than form, but still, it's quite a step up. Also, thanks to amazing part separation, Bandai actually managed to get every single piece of this kit in its anime accurate colors without the use of stickers. These legs are really impressive, with all these thrusters perfectly recreated. Speaking of the thrusters, each and every one on this guy comes with a red insert. It's surprising given how RE100s are supposed to be cut in a few corners. Of course, this kit's build isn't perfect, with its major flaw being these nubs. There are just tons of bad nubs, all of which are very visible given this green color scheme. It's a little strange, considering the Vigna Gina that came out before this had undergating. Really, this Zaku should have gotten the undergating treatment instead. Getting back to the positives though, I really like how the classic Zaku tubing was done. Instead of plastic, we get a really soft rubber type material. It's really flexible, allowing for much greater articulation from the legs. Onto the painting, there's only one location I'd say is strictly mandatory, and that's this pink mono eye. While you do get a sticker for it, the eye comes as a separate clear piece, so like every other modern Zaku kit, it's really easy to paint up with a Gundam marker. Outside of that, I decided to add black paint inside of all these red thrusters. It just makes them look a little bit less toyish. Moving on, I recommend breaking out the black Gundam marker for the inside of the skirt armor. See, there's this red vent that plugs in. However, you can actually see it on the inside since there's no inner frame to hide it. Thankfully, a quick coat of black paint does the job pretty well. There's a similar issue on the side of this thruster on the leg, where you can see a bit of the red insert popping out. You might want to hit this one with a gray Gundam marker. Next, there are quite a few dashes and tick marks around this kit that look great with some added paint. They're nothing mandatory, and I'm sure panel lining would look fine, but I just like a more consistent look, you know? And lastly, on the head, you can see the tubing showing underneath the mouth section. This one really annoys me, since because it's part of this rubber tubing, I'm not sure if painting is going to work out properly. However, this piece stays relatively stationary on the head, so paint might actually hold up a little bit better here. All said and done, this kit is a pretty simple build, with some great part separation. It really does feel like a lower end master grade. However, there's still quite a few places needing some work, specifically in terms of nubs. Regardless, it's a pretty decent build. Alright, now that we've got this guy detailed up, let's look over this appearance. First and foremost, these proportions. The Zaku Kai has some really weird proportions compared to the usual Zaku, and that carries over pretty well to this model kit, just not entirely in the way you'd like. Comparing to the anime appearance, I really love how the bulk of the upper chest is recreated, along with these big waist skirts. But the midsection of this waist is a little on the slimmer side, lending to a weird blocky hourglass shape. The legs and arms are also a bit on the lanky side. Of course, slimmer proportions usually mean better articulation, so hopefully this isn't all bad. I do really like how small the head is. One of my favorite parts of the Zaku Kai's design is how bulky the suit is with just his little head on top, and this kit nails that. But really, it feels like this kit was designed to be a bit of a blend between the old school bulk of the anime and a more modern streamlining. Thankfully, the details on this kit are just perfect. There's not a lot of needless modernized panel lines here. It's all a pretty perfect recreation from the anime appearance. This was really smart on Bandai's part, since all these red thrusters really provide enough detail to the design as it is. The colors on this kit are accurate enough, but not exactly what I'm looking for. Again, comparing to the anime appearance, the colors are a bit more bright and saturated than I'd like. This light green specifically is pretty colorful compared to the muted color scheme found in the War in the Pocket anime. The red on the chest is also a tiny bit brighter than it should be. I do, however, really like the darkness of this secondary green, and I'm a big fan of this light gray and the greenish yellow used in the piping. Really, it's the light green that really gets me here. Thankfully, because of how great this part separation is, replacing this green would be super easy, with no masking necessary. You get some decent decals with this kit. Of course, it's just a single set of peel and stick decals, but it's still a pretty good mix of caution signs and Xeon emblems. I really like that you get the choice between yellow and white Xeon symbols. Choices like this are really appreciated on grunt suits, as they allow you to make your own customized team. So in general, this kit may look a little bit wonky, with a little more modernization than I'd like, but usually that comes with a boost to articulation. So let's see what we've got here. Starting with the feet, you get a great tilt upwards, but of course, nothing downwards. Still, it's an upgrade from that Vignagina kit. The ankles are on a series of swivels, leading to pretty decent all-around movement. I will say it's a little bit hampered side to side because of the ankle guards though. This kit also has a movable ankle guard on the back, to help make the most of these feet. In all honesty though, I really haven't found myself needing it for anything. But it's always better to have more options than less, right? You get a really solid 135-degree bend from the knee. It's all thanks to this bendable pipe in the legs. If I remember correctly, the high grade could barely score a 90-degree bend here, so this is a great improvement. The hips are again a series of swivels, so you get all the kicks, splits, and spins you could ask for. By the way, there's no polycaps used in this kit. Everything is made out of that softer polystyrene plastic. While this does make the kit a little less sturdy than older master grades, which used ABS plastic, I'm sure these joints will hold up much better in the long run. Anyway, the hips have a mechanism inside that allow each leg to move forward independently. Pretty cool stuff here. The skirts don't hamper the legs too much here. The back skirt is locked in place though. I will say it's funny that these front two on each side are a single piece. Moving on up, the chest has quite a few joints inside. The bottom joint is a hinge dedicated solely to some forward ab crunches. You also get the usual spin here. The next few joints are inside the upper chest, and they give you some decent tilts left and right and forwards and backwards. Much like the high-grade build burning Gundam, the upper chest has a pop-out feature hidden inside, which helps get better shoulder movement without exposing the bare bones frame underneath. Combine with this decent pop-out from the shoulder itself, and you get a solid 45-degree extension here. The actual shoulder itself also has the usual spins and lateral movement. Each of these shoulder attachments is on a series of swivels, not too far off from the usual Zaku master grades. Moving down the arm, you get a stable spin from the upper arm, and almost a 180-degree bend from the elbow. There's also a dedicated spin below the elbow. Pretty solid stuff all around here. The hands are on ball joints, so they function how you'd expect. They don't have the usual pegs though, but instead each weapon itself has a peg that plugs into a slot inside the hands. You don't get too many hands though, only 2 fists, a shooting right hand, and an open left hand. You also only get a single set of green guards on top that you have to swap out for each hand. This is definitely some corner cutting on Bandai's part. And lastly, on the head, you get a solid tilt upwards from a dedicated joint in the neck. The head itself is on an alright ball joint. It is mildly held back by this nozzle on the front though. You can move the mono eye on its own, by the way. You're supposed to use this little switch underneath, but it's a real pain. So in all honesty, I found it was way easier to pop the top of the head off and just change it from the inside. This articulation is extremely solid for a Zaku. Really, it's at least on par with the Master Grade Zaku version 2.0s. Hopefully he'll be able to pull off some cool poses with some of these gimmicks. Being a Zaku kit, of course you get the usual Heat Hawk axe. It's actually a pretty decent build and has some solid part separation. You get 2 blades, by the way. It's totally just a side effect of having 2 of the same runner. But still, this is really cool because you can keep one gray and then paint the other like a glowing orange or something. You can also detach this handle to attach this dedicated retracted handle for storing on the back of the waistskirt. Next he comes with a 90mm machine gun. It doesn't have quite the same level of part separation as the Heat Hawk, but it still looks really solid. Unlike the usual Zaku gun, he can actually hold this gun pretty well too, with a dedicated right hand. I would have liked a dedicated left hand as well, but I'll take what I can get. You get an additional ammo pack for this gun too, that you can store inside the side skirt. Moving on, these red hand grenades are actually individual pieces, allowing you to detach them for a few poses. There's also a handle you can attach to help out. While I'll probably never go for a pose like this, it's still a nice addition. Another great addition are the interchangeable head pieces. You actually get 2 additional helmet types here, a type with an antenna, similar to a commander type Zaku, and this really unique B-type helmet. This is such a unique design, and it really leans into the World War II aesthetic of the 1 Year War. I could see some really cool custom builds being made with this thing. And that's about it for the gimmicks. It's really just your basics, but what you do get functions pretty well. While I would have liked a bazooka or the Sturmfaust or something, I'm not too let down here. Alright, now let's round this all up. Now, I'll be honest here, I still would have liked a Master Grade instead. There's just so many corners cut on this kit, specifically with a few of these nubs, the proportions, and a lack of weapons. Still, this is a Zaku Kai in 1/100th scale, so I can't help but look at the positives. This build really doesn't feel too far off from a Master Grade, and all these thruster inserts were a great touch. The appearance still has a lot of that anime style bulk shining through here. And lastly, you can hit all kinds of cool poses. If you're into War in the Pocket, this is definitely a must-buy kit. For everyone else though, I'd probably say go with the Master Grade Zaku version 2.0 kits. They're not that much more expensive than this, yet they're some of the best model kits Bandai's ever made. I just wish the Zaku could have gotten that same treatment, you know? And on that kind of depressing note, feel free to follow me on Instagram. I post updates, work in progress builds, the whole deal. Also, feel free to ask any questions you have about this kit below, and I'm more than happy to get back to you. Okay, thanks for watching, and see you next time.